In today's video, we're doing something a little bit different, guys. This is the start of a new series, a new undertaking, if you will. It's an AAR series, an after action review series, where I'm going to react to gameplay that is submitted to me from the community and then apply what I know of real-world tactics and doctrine to the gameplay that I am looking at. Today, courtesy of my buddy Prowlaz, who is the community manager for Ground Branch. He's also a content creator in his own right. He's also a buddy of mine. This is from the Ground Branch 1030 CTE build back in the summer of 2020. So the game has changed a lot since then. If you're interested in Ground Branch and you want to see what it looks like today, you can grab a copy of it from my game store at nexus.gg/controlledpairsgaming. But let's go ahead and take a look at this gameplay. I'm not going to catch everything, and I'm also not trying to subject Prowlaz to any sort of unnecessary criticism. This is purely meant for infotainment and as a chance to kind of look at something and then apply some real-world thought and real-world kind of tactical decision-making and critical thinking to a digital environment. And here we are, Prowlaz and his team get ready to take down the tanker. As you see here, he is on ludicrous mode. It's a four-man team. They're using an MP5 setup. Everyone's all blacked out in tack gears. They are facing 30 enemy. Here they... I'll go ahead and stop right here. So you can see they're stacked 4 and 4, 4 total, 2 and 2. 2 on the left side of the breach, 2 on the right side of the breach. If you know this map, if you know what tanker is, you know they're going into the engine room. The engine room is a really challenging room. It's a big open space. It's multi-level. It's got a big open center. There's cover on the left and the right sides. It's tough to do what's called a dynamic entry into this room. It looks like that's what they're going to attempt to do. When I say a dynamic entry, I mean they are going to immediately enter this room after they open the door. Given this scenario, knowing that there's 30 bad guys in there, I probably would have elected to throw this door open and fight from the threshold a little bit, unless there's a reason for me to get inside. It is a terrorist hunt. They're not necessarily going after a hostage that needs to be rescued. The goal is to kill all the bad guys, and you might be able to do that all the way from the cover of this doorway. The benefit of going dynamic, as it seems they are attempting to do, is that they are maximizing some of the principles of close quarters battle, which we all know to be speed, surprise, and violence of action. So let's see how this dynamic entry goes for him on tanker. A lot of people have tried to fail this, or a lot of people have tried this technique before and failed, including myself many times. But let's see how Prowlaz and his guys do.
Ready. Opening. Flash out.
Flash goes out. All right, Prowlaz is the number 1 man. We can see he's in the fatal funnel now. His gun isn't quite shouldered yet. You'd want to get that gun into your shoulder and pointed downrange before you commit across the threshold. That's okay, though. Let's see how it goes.
Move right.
He calls he's going right. You can see he engaged 1 target already, and he killed this guy up here. What you didn't see him do is check his corner. So the number 1 man through the breach, his corner would be that back right corner. That near right corner over here to his right. He also called out, I'm going right. That shouldn't be necessary in a well-trained team. If he's going right, the number 2 man should just see that and go left. It's just kind of natural. In video games, of course, we have the luxury of really good voice communication. So sometimes you can over-communicate, and that's totally fine, especially in a gaming environment. You're going to do good things if you communicate in that way. Okay. All right, he finally clears that corner there. So we often, I talk about clearing the near threat and then the corner. So he sort of did. He killed this guy first. That was definitely his near threat. And then it took him a second, but he did transition to the corner. They're taking fire, it sounds like, from the low ground up here. And he's transitioned from a sprint, which in my estimate is probably the right decision. He's got a piece of cover he can tuck in behind here. He's got a piece of cover he can tuck in behind here. Let's see what he chooses to do with all of that in mind. All right, he bypasses the cover. You can see on the other side, his teammates did choose to take some of that cover, so they did take this piece of cover. It looks like they've also cleared this corner. They're in a gunfight long, and there's also still contact low. We don't know where his 4th man is right now.
1 lower left side.
Good crosstalk. All right, so what we do when we enter and clear a room, we collapse our sector. So first, he cleared the near threat, which we all know to be the guy that's on the ground dead over here. Then he cleared his corner, which we know is over here. Now he's collapsing his sector. I am concerned because he hasn't cleared what's over here to his right, but he is collapsing his sector. So after he's cleared these things in this order, he's starting to slowly rotate. And as he rotates, he identifies this threat down here, and he's calling it out to his buddies. So that's excellent crosstalk and really good communication. from a teammate here.
Down low right.
I got the one on the left.
Good communication still. He's pushing deep. He's bypassing the stairs over here. That's a little bit concerning, but he does have a teammate behind him who can take it.
Moving up to one.
Alright,
Up to 2.
lower level looks good. Let's move up. Regroup at 1.
Okay, so he's asking for his team to rally. That's the right call. He's sprinting up these stairs. We haven't yet coordinated the entrance into this second level, so the fact that he's running up here leads me to believe he either, having played this map a lot, realizes there's no enemy right here, or he's just playing real aggressive. Again, his gun's pointed up at the high port or the high carry rather than shouldered and ready to fight as he's coming around this corner. Sure enough, his teammate's already there. So that was my mistake. I think he knew, or maybe he was talking to his teammates and they had already reported and I just missed it, that they had actually come up these stairs over here and that they had moved to and established these positions, able to pull security up the stairs. So if that's the case, then that was just me not fully understanding their crosstalk. And they are getting pushed from upstairs, but because they have good cross coverage, and when I say cross coverage, I mean you have one teammate pulling security this way, you have another teammate pulling security this way. Together, they're able to cover the entirety of that stairwell, and that's really good security, obviously resulting in one enemy killed in action right here. So good work. Okay, he's centered up. I think you would absolutely take this shot real world, but it freaks me out. And that's because you can see his buddy right here, and he's firing right over his buddy's head. So that's a real tough shot. He did step to the right to get an engagement between his two friends. And we always say earn your shot, right? So if you feel the need to fire and you need to fire past a teammate, it is on the shooter. It's always on the shooter to step left, step right, create a clear line of fire from him to his target, understand what's between him and his target, left and right of his target, and beyond his target. And Prowlaz did that in this situation, but he's still taking really tight shots, which is incredibly dangerous. Real world, less so, obviously, in a pretend environment like this one. All right, we're taking these stairs really fast. Stairs are real tricky. Would probably be a lot more slow, a lot more deliberate about how we pied off these corners and worked our way up. But, you know, in this environment, nothing wrong with what they're doing.
Reload.
We're hearing people talk about changing mags. We did see one round pass right in front of Prowlaz and impact right here. That's from his teammate who is just off screen over here to the left. So lucky that Prowlaz didn't catch that round. And but overall, like, the engagements are really good and effective. And we just heard his buddy call reload. So we know someone's changing a mag to the rear. Prowlaz is doing the right thing, holding the door here, making sure that he's not going to get pushed from up the stairs while his buddy's reloading.
I need to reload.
Me too. Someone take one.
Okay, so
Contact.
we have 3 people reloading now, but they're all coordinating those reloads. So we don't all change mags at the same time when we're in contact. We wait for an opportunity to do it when our buddies can get their guns up and cover us. Now that I see all 4 guys, I noticed we did not have rear security, which is a luxury in this game because you're not expecting to get pushed back through that engine room that you just cleared out. So we can kind of make the assessment that we're safe and our rear flank is not exposed. I would still feel more comfortable, of course, having rear security whenever possible. Still pushing those stairs pretty aggressively.
Going left.
He took the quick peek up the stairs there, and they're choosing to go dynamic again, meaning they're just kind of rushing in here, which is totally fine. It's just really dangerous, and I wouldn't use really a technique like this, I don't think, unless I had a lot of confidence or a lot of people. We kind of call this style of immediate entry or dynamic entry flooding the floor, and if you're going to go this aggressive, this dynamic, you almost don't want to ask a single assaulter to clear multiple rooms. You'd almost prefer that you have enough friendlies on your team to just flood that entire floor, and then as you enter and clear rooms, first guy enter and clears a room, it's good to go, leaving enough space for a second guy and his team to enter clear another room, another guy to go deep, clear his room, and all of this to be able to happen simultaneously. But to clear that many rooms at the same time, each one of these circles representing 2 or 3 assaulters, it takes a massive element, and they don't have that in this game, at least in this level. So that's a luxury that we're pretending to have that we don't.
Clear.
Going
Great
right.
reflexes, took contact
Copy.
from up the
Sweep
stairs.
outside.
If he hadn't looked up the stairs, he would
One
have
hold
paid
the
for it.
stairs.
In contact to the rear. It's good discipline in a game, right? He heard shooting to his rear, but he knows his sector of fire is to his front. He's letting his teammates take that contact that's going on behind them, and instead he's staying focused on his fight to the front.
Contact! Gotcha.
Ooh, that was close.
Trav. Go, go.
Port side exterior clear. Headed port side storage.
Yeah, starboard storage clear.
You can tell they played this map a couple times. The callouts are all on point. In a dynamic environment
Port storage clear, coming back to 1.
that you've never seen before, and the first time you're seeing it, you're in a gunfight, or it's nighttime, or it's scary, or
All right.
you're not going to have these sexy callouts.
Smooth
It's all going to
vision.
be TTP based, not map and terrain based.
Hold here. You guys coming?
There we go.
2 bodies coming in deck 2.
Okay, so he's taking a tactical pause on the stairs instead of just rushing into this next level with just a 2-man to help support his clearance. He's waiting on the rest of the team to show up, so he has 4 rather than 2. He's doubling his combat power. That's a great tactical pause and the right decision here.
Roger. All right. Moving left.
Taking right.
Again, calling out left versus right, not necessary, but totally okay. A single assaulter clearance is tough, especially in a hallway. We know he had a 2-man with him. If he had been patient, he could have gone into cross coverage and cleared that intersection before committing around the corner. He went solo, and the result here was he cleared this way first, and then he took a peek this way, discovering the enemy combatant that he killed on the floor down there. I think he handled it the right way. Single assaulter clearance is always really tough, and you can't mitigate all the risk in the world. You eventually just pie as much as you can, and you have to pick a side, and it worked out in this case. Let's see what this next couple of rooms look like.
Alley's clear.
All right, so he's got an open doorway to his left, open doorway to his front. Both of those open doors are big threats because they are open, and we've been in a lot of contact. In my estimate, he's playing this right now, right? He's got his back to cover and then his gun towards the threat. And then he did the right thing there. He switched. So he kept his back to the cover. He kept his gun towards the threat. And then now he's committing into this room. It's tough because it's so dark, but it looks like it's a center-fed room, meaning there's a wall here, a wall here. It goes back into a corner there, back into a corner there, and then closes off. Given that, we know that there could be a threat over here. Having a tack light on this MP5 would have helped illuminate that on the initial sweep. But now that we see him kind of J-hooking into this room, I want to see him continue to this corner and then clear long to this corner. And as soon as he sees this corner, I want to see him rapidly switch back and take a peek the other direction because he still hasn't been able to see deep into that corner. But let's see how he plays it. Yep, so there he goes. He's checking the left corner. Still a little bit of dead space over there. And coming right back and clearing the other corner. And now this room is clear with the exception of that tiny little bit of dead space, but it wasn't large enough to conceal a man-sized target. He does that same style of clearance, that single-man assaulter clearance, where you pie all the way left, pie all the way right, and then J-hook in.
Still clearing port side.
Good communication from teams on adjacent ends of the ship. That's about as best you can expect out of 4 guys. Pretty cool. They all finished their work on the other side, and they've already restacked on the stairs. They know not to commit until he's there, ready to go with him. They're not rushing up the stairs. They're waiting until they rebuild that fire team of 4 assaulters before they proceed. First man's got his gun up. He's pieing the corner. He's got some good standoff. When I say standoff, I mean, so if this is your piece of cover, the decision to remain to generate some standoff. So here he's got 4 feet probably. The decision to give him that standoff gives this assaulter the ability to step left and step right and give him a really quick ability to acquire target and then engage and then tuck back into cover. If he was, say 2 feet off of this or 1 feet off of this corner, he's not going to have as good of a sight picture. His muzzle is going to be closer to it. He's going to risk becoming exposed around that corner before he can get his eyeball, his sight picture, and his barrel around that corner. So he's making the right decision by getting some standoff there. Prowlaz overtook his buddy right there. Probably a mistake tactically. It's so micro in the grand scheme of this game. But his buddy was doing the right thing, taking it slow, nice wide pie there. And then Prowlaz kind of J-hooked it real tight around the corner. If he called that, or if he's the team lead and he just wants it, like that's absolutely his prerogative. Probably some risk, probably kind of stepped in front of that muzzle a little bit. It made me feel a little bit uncomfortable just seeing it.
Going right.
Again, he's calling it. He's saying going right. If they were to take it a little bit slower and be a little bit more deliberate, they could choose because they have an open breach here. That's a huge threat. They have an open breach here. That's a huge threat. What I would probably do is post up security this way, do the same thing, post up security on the other side, and I'd probably put bangs in here before flooding across the hall, entering and clearing this first. And then my suspicion is that this opens up behind this wall, so you can kind of clear from behind this wall this way. And then emerge there, but at the same time have security that whole way. So that's probably how I would play it. But they're moving really fast, and these guys are just good at ground branch, so they can take more risks than I'd be able to.
On left.
Checking the stairs again, good call. Checking the corner again, good call. Single man clearance. He's already pied the corner. J hooks in, clears the other corner, finishes the dead space. That's an excellent one man clear.
Laundry's good. Back hall's good.
I couldn't tell there. Let me back it up. All right, so it comes out.
Laundry's good.
Is this? I can't tell if that is an open hallway or open space to his right or not. I can't tell.
Back hall's.
All right, so he's now cleared that hallway.
Ports light clear.
He's cleared that
Copy,
one,
start.
and he just so it was just a wall there, and he just knew that because he knows the map. Is my suspicion because we couldn't see it
Clear.
from our perspective.
Coming the stairs.
Good communication from
All right,
the
take us up.
team. They've restacked. They know they've got all four in this stack already. They've got good coverage. He's taking it nice and slow. Again, this assaulter achieves that same standoff that we saw last time and admired, so that's all looking really good. Pie, sidestep. This is good. So maybe last time this is kind of their unit TTP, and one guy goes wide and one guy goes narrow, and you can see we still have clear sectors of fire, and we've actually achieved cross coverage. So if that's what Prowlaz was doing on the last stairwell, then bravo, that's badass, and that works really well. You can also see muzzle awareness here, as is frequently the case in ground branch. Barrels pointed up the sky, not at the back of our buddy's head, which is kind of you, not to shoot your friend. Good to go. All right, this time we saw that same example of earning your shot, right? So we had good cross coverage from our two outside guys, took contact, and rather than being passive, Prowlaz found a way to get into the fight by stepping center and earning that shot. He didn't try to shoot over his buddy's shoulder. He didn't tuck back in and seek cover. He stepped wide to get his gun in the fight, and he took an accurate shot to help his teammates put this guy down. So outstanding instincts and really quick, accurate reflexes. Okay, so we've got one assaulter button hooking left, one assaulter button hooking right, stairs here, long hallway here. There's an open door right over here that is not being covered right now, which makes me concerned.
Going left.
Okay, it's a hallway. Now we are covering it. And now we've got a double stack left. That's perfect. All right, so I was worried that we weren't covering this open breach. Prowlaz saw that, and rather than chase his buddy down this hallway, he gave this guy a two-man to protect his flank. So he stepped up to become the wingman. So if any bad guys peek this corner, he's now protecting the exposed flank of his partner, at least until that partner gets through the breach. So excellent situational awareness and understanding where he is in the fight and putting himself in the right spot. That's pretty cool. All right, now the problem is now his back is exposed to it, and we don't know where the four man is. Number one man went down that hall. Number two and three men went left, it looks like, and number four man may or may not be covering our flank right now. We just don't know.
Hold.
Okay, Prowlaz checked the hallway. He took a quick peek, and now he's going to go check this dead space. No, he's not checking the dead space, but he did take a look at it.
Hold, sir.
Okay, so he's making the decision that being able to see this much makes this space as safe as he feels comfortable achieving without clearing this hallway down here. So this is a calculation. He knows that this is a risk. He's basically in his mind saying that's a lesser risk than this big open hallway. And I tend to agree with that. It's a close risk because it's just geographically close to him on the battlefield. But as soon as he starts pushing this hallway, it becomes safer and the things down that hallway become more dangerous. So no issues here. Pushing, pie it. He took path of least resistance on a one-man clear here. There's nothing wrong with that. When I say path of least resistance, that means he's coming through the threshold. He's clearing this corner first. Then he's starting his sector breakdown that direction. It makes sense that he's kind of choosing path of least resistance because he has to go dynamic into this room. When I say go dynamic, I mean he has to choose to immediately enter this room and get in fast because there's this hallway outside that he's unable to clear that could be a threat if he chooses to try to fight from the threshold. So it's safer for him to just get in this room rapidly, especially because he's by himself. Now my question is, now that he's in and he's cleaned this corner, is he going to fight for this dead space, or is he going to check his 6? Neither is wrong. I'm just curious to see how his brain works. He's clearing the dead space first. Okay. Dead space is clear. Window, we know there's lots of other bad guys out there potentially, and he gets sucked into it. So I would kind of call that tunnel vision, to be honest with you. The decision to press from threshold to dead space was a sound one. And when I say dead space, I just mean the space that was unobserved behind these cylinders. That was a sound decision. The decision then to get sucked into this window, that becomes tunnel vision. And when I say tunnel vision, I say that because he's getting sucked into the window fight instead of ensuring that there's nothing behind that door or to his right. Now, it is a corner-fed room, and you couldn't tell previously. Maybe he just knows, because he's played tanker a lot, that path of least resistance here is safe because it's a corner-fed room, and a man-sized target can barely fit there. But that doesn't mean it's necessarily safe. Of course, real world, we'd expect bad guys to potentially be hiding behind that door, or any number of other bad things. And I think my default setting, I would probably push long here, and then I'd take a peek over my shoulder back at this dead space before, or this corner before clearing the dead space. That's probably what I would do. But I just think that's just a preference kind of thing.
Got audibles.
Ooh, I'm impressed, honestly, by that. Did you hear that? So in ground branch, when you hear that stand by, that means you know an enemy's close and that enemy can actually see you. So listen right here. You hear that stand by. So if I'm a ground branch player, I'm thinking there's a bad guy over there because that's where I'm hearing that sound come from. And as a ground branch player, when I hear that sound, I'm thinking, okay, I need to kill something over there. And I'm going to have to kill it really fast because, especially on ludicrous mode, these bots are incredibly dangerous. And so I probably would have shot my teammate here, is what I'm saying. Because he comes out here, looks towards the sound that he just heard.
Okay.
Boom. I would have killed this guy. I absolutely would have killed this guy. He knew he had teammates over there from a previous report, but then he also just heard an enemy AI talk. So I would have come out here looking to kill something, and I probably would have killed the first thing that walked around this corner, especially if it was unannounced. So good on Prowlaz for having the trigger discipline there to not commit fratricide.
Audibles on port side, might be above us. Not sure.
What side clear?
Okay.
All right, we're restacking stairs, pushing once more.
Rotating.
I got one.
They use that same TTP. That must just be a unit TTP. So they send one wide, and then they pull into cross coverage where a guy's pulling security this way and a guy's pulling security this way, and they achieve that by keeping that tight button hook and with the first guy, and then the second guy pushing wide with the stairs in the center. And I kind of like that. I think that's sound. I've never used something like that in real world, but just looking at like how the geometry works out, it's totally fine. Looks good. All right, so he took that way faster than I'd feel comfortable taking it, and now that we're here, we see open breach is a big threat, but we also have dead space over here. Both of those are still a threat. Right now, he's getting sucked into this, which I agree is the bigger threat, but the problem is by doing that, we know that their TTP is to have a narrow J-hook and a wide J-hook with stairs in the center, right? And in this situation, we're coming around the stairs. He has an open breach here, and he has dead space right here. Dead. And Prowlaz, who's taking this line, is choosing to go this way. But his buddy is coming up right here. And his buddy is no longer able to cover him from this dead space. And so his buddy, if he wants to cover him from this dead space, now has to shoot through Prowlaz to get to it. I think the right move, if I'm going to do the same kind of maneuver, is Prowlaz probably checks this dead space while he lets his buddy pull long security into that breach. It's probably how I'd run it. But again, they're moving fast, and this is like I'm stopping and have the luxury of really thinking about it while they're just flying through it and doing a fantastic job.
Hatch open.
Yep.
And he just stepped, what I think he just stepped across his buddy's muzzle. I don't think he was able to clear that corner.
Hatch open.
Okay, so it looks like maybe that dead space is not able to be occupied because of these pipes, but we still need to check it with our eyes, and the enemy can be on the other side of those pipes. This is definitely still the biggest threat, but we think his buddy was over here off of his back left shoulder, and by pushing this way, we're removing his buddy's ability to engage this direction. We're also removing his buddy's ability to engage this direction. Because we were narrow, I would almost recommend that he just kind of maintain security on this door and maybe even cross to come this way, and then split the stack like that.
Yep.
He's
Flash.
pine, looks good. He's calling for the flash. It's the right move. Here, real world, you'd know your buddies are behind you because you'd feel them there.
Flash.
But he took his eyes off the threshold here, which is just it's just an individual discipline kind of thing. And in the game, obviously not a huge deal. Real world, the number one man's sole purpose in life is to keep his gun pointed at this thing, no matter what. And he would never take that look right there, where Prowlaz's head turns to the right, 45 degrees, 90 degrees. That's just something that would never happen. What we do see, though, is that threshold, or that dead space over here, was not able to be occupied because of these pipes. What we also see is we've still got good security on the door from his buddies. What we also see is we have good muzzle awareness down the stack. Looks like this guy's also got a gun on the door. And because Prowlaz is calling for the flash and this guy has security, I'm assuming the flash is coming from down here, which is good because that means the guy throwing the flash is not the first or the second guy through the door. We're removing the time from his transition from flash to primary at least several seconds, which is excellent.
I'm at a flash.
Okay, we heard those couple of shots. Those shots came over Prowlaz's shoulder and into this room. You could hear a body fall inside. Nothing wrong with that. That's why we pull security. It sounds like that was a safe engagement. Typically, if you have to shoot past somebody like that, you want to give them some sort of warning. You want to call shot, meaning like literally when you see that shot, you want to say shot and then like half step right to earn your shot and make it safe. You may not have the luxury of that time. Just a TTP that I've seen used effectively in the past.
Prepping flash. Flash ready.
Eyes off the door again.
Send it.
And we're at the high port or high carry right now. We should have a gun on that door. It shouldn't be pointed up at this guy.
Flash out.
Going
Flash
left.
goes in. He called left. All right, let's take it back here just a second because this is a complex kind of entry. So we have a split stack, 3 on the left side, 1 on the right side. Flash goes in. Prowlaz says he's going left, which is technically completely fine. That means this man, who is the 2-man, needs to go right. I believe he does do that. Given the same scenario, if this was me, because Prowlaz already has an angle this direction, I'd probably choose to go path least resistance here, and I'd expect this guy to go path least resistance this direction. You could argue button hook versus path of least resistance all day. There's no right or wrong answer. The reason I like path of least resistance is because Prowlaz is already able to see a whole bunch of this room. Similarly, his buddy can pie a little bit and see a whole bunch of the other side of the room. So you're entering a space that's more familiar to you, and you may even have an idea of where you think a threat is in that part of the room, as opposed to doing a J-hook here, which is going to expose you to completely new terrain that you haven't seen at all from the threshold, and just potentially reduce your reaction time that much more. So that's kind of why I tend towards path least resistance whenever I have the opportunity to. People will argue that that's not necessarily the right answer, especially in a split stack, because a path of least resistance means that no matter what, if I choose to go this way, I'm going to be crossing this man's barrel. And similarly, if he chooses to go this way, he's going to be crossing somebody's barrel. So that's arguments for either way. It's not a wrong or right answer. It's just a way to do business. Bang goes off, center of the room, looks good. He button hooks, center looked good. Good engagement on the left. He's pieing, finishes clearance of the room, transitions to the next threshold. I would have waited for a 2-man probably, and they'd have got me killed.
Port side's clear.
And we're blind. That's
Got
tough.
it.
Clear.
Get over there, Fisher.
Audible starboard side.
Okay, we're clear all the way through the conning tower here in the superstructure. So I'm going to go ahead and stop it. This was tough, man. Prowlaz, really appreciate you submitting your clips. Guys, if you want me to take a look at your clips and break them down, whether it's a first-person shooter, tactical shooter, a realistic real-time strategy, door kickers, onward, whatever the case may be, you can head over to my subreddit. I'll put a link down in the description below, and you can drop the video on that subreddit. I'll take a look at it if it kind of fits the channel. I will break it down just like I did here for Prowlaz's video. Now, make sure you go over and you check out Prowlaz's YouTube channel, which I will also link below, as well as this original video. Throw the guy a sub for volunteering to be first in this series of videos. And then, of course, if you haven't subscribed, I'd appreciate y'all's support if you chose to do that. Now, I'm Controlled Pairs, and I play the most immersive tactical shooters and combat sims in the world. This was Ground Branch, courtesy of Prowlaz, and I'll see you guys in the next one.